My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Green.
I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we talk about X-Statix, Marvel, X-Men, basically anything but Superman. Like, I'd be willing to talk about I'd be willing to cover a Batman movie, but not a Superman movie with you, Gary. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. I don't. They haven't made a good Superman movie for, since like the 80s, and those are a little bit boring. I
saw one of those on like TBS the other day, and it was like I kind of felt like if I just put it on, if it didn't have like really loud commercials in between it, I would just go to sleep immediately. Like I was just not interested in it whatsoever. I think even as a kid, I don't think I was really into those Superman movies.
I watched them like when I first got into like superhero movies at all. Like when I saw Batman, when I saw the Tim Burton Batman. I ended up going back and watching those, and they're boring as hell. I get that some people grew up with them and dug that whole thing, but I think they are super boring. I don't love that character. There's a couple stories that I think are good Superman stories, but not very many.
I watched that Tim Burton Batman a couple of years ago, and like as a kid was obsessed with that movie, right? Like as it hit me right the right age, but as a grown man didn't particularly care for it that much.
Didn't like it?
I mean, there's some good stuff, but like it was just so that, it's that Tim Burton wackiness, which I think I've just grown immune to, right?
You know what I think actually is like works for me is Batman Returns, the second one with the Penguin. Like I watched that. I went back and hung out with my buddy back home a couple of years ago and watched that with him. And the wackiness is so weird that it ends up actually being like pretty fun. Like just Danny DeVito walking around in his underwear, eating raw fish and like screaming at everybody.
That's Jim Carrey, Riddler, and what's her name as Catwoman as well. Is that the whole set?
The one before that one.
The one before.
It's the one with Catwoman and the Penguin.
Okay.
Are the two villains, but the Penguin is just a miracle. Like Danny DeVito, just like again, just sleeving raw fish, like eating whole raw fish, like their heads and shit, the tails.
Like a beautiful representation of the Penguin. Like I just love.
Of course, the Penguin would be like
to
that.
The bit, yeah.
In the Rocksteady games, they make him like this British gangster, but I love him as the sewer goblin.
Exactly.
Who ties a bunch of bombs to penguins and sends them into battle and stuff. It's super good.
What if in the next Spider-Man movie, Rhino just like has to soak himself in a lake every 20 minutes? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if they just start doing real literal interpretations of these villains?
All the animals should eat the things they really eat. Like Dr. Octopus should only eat flies. Like, if you were named after an animal, you have to eat the things the animal eats.
You walk into Lizard Man's house and it's just huge things of flies everywhere.
Yeah. Black Panther, I only need you to eat wildebeest. Rest in peace. Yeah.
X-Statix. Let's talk about X-Statix.
Yeah. Starting a new arc, a short arc, 3-part, called Moons of Venus. Also the good guy, bad guy arc. Last episode they wrapped up everything with Arnie, but the strain was so much that Orphan Guy Smith quit the team.
Yes. There's some good jokes in
where are they on the cover of this, Jeremy? What is this representing?
I was going to ask you that, but okay. Like that seems to be a gravestone with a grave open in front of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a huge stairway to not heaven, like just looks like a door.
Yep, space void with all the team watching Tyke Alakar punch Guy Smith. This is weird. Like I don't know where they're at. Like it's still good drawing and everything, but
it almost feels like they had an extra panel that they didn't know what to do with. Like, oh, let's just put this as the cover. Like it just feels very strange to me.
We need to have a background. This begins with Venus de Milo meeting with Professor X, talking about this ritual that they do, where she kind of bops into other dimensions because he has a theory that like she didn't actually kill her family, she just banished them to a different dimension.
Yes.
And one of the cast members of Mr. Show, Brian Posehn, is playing the weird technician with gills.
Sure.
Here, other members of Mr. Show will show up later. It's real strange.
It is extremely strange.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the 5th time that she's doing this today, and Xavier's worried a little bit of like, hey, like your what does he say? Your energy level reading is down to 800 cycles per cubic inch, and you have bags under your eyes, which is she doesn't even really have eyes. Like, but she's you know, she thinks like it's his fault that I'm doing this because he's told me that I can save my family. Like I'm going to wreck myself emotionally and physically until I find them. And of course, on this 5th time, something goes wrong, and Ima, this machine that they're in, blows up.
Yeah, releasing these kind of like black tendrils and this scary little like tumor, this like little space tumor thing. And this is where I would love to read a Peter Milligan Professor X solo book.
Yeah,
would be one of the, the voice that he has for him is very funny. Where like one of the security guards comes up, he's like, "What the hell is that?" And he's like, "I know, we should kill it quick." Brian Posehn is like, "Well, it might have some scientific significance. We should probably study it." And he goes, "Dr. Swain, I applaud your instincts and agree that we must maintain a strict regimen of dispassionate scientific inquiry after we've zapped the ugly son of a bitch," and then like shoots it. Like action movie Professor X is so good.
I love it
so
dude.
Much.
I want more of this weird ass Professor Xavier so much. Like it's you mentioned that this was one of your favorite representations of him, and like as I was reading this, I was like, "This is so much fun." Jesus Christ!
And it's so like the sex stuff is so funny throughout this whole arc.
Yeah.
Like just like, cause like the way that these characters can have sex, like he has to produce these special suits for them. And it's like what he does instead of a hobby.
Yeah.
Like instead of he couldn't get a PS5, so he figures out how mutants can fuck.
Oh, he's definitely in the queue right now. He's in the he's in the Sony Direct queue in the background. Why do you think he killed this thing instead of studied it? He was like, no, we don't have time. Like I can't tab away.
I gotta reload Walmart.com. But whatever happened here was really traumatizing to Venus. Like she's like, "Oh, make them get away, keep them away from me." It was horrible. And we cut over to Lacuna, confessing on her show that she had to kill Arnie Lundberg. Even though he was a massive killer, Guy Smith pressured me into doing this.
Yes.
He quit X-Statix. So audience, you have to decide, is he good guy or a bad guy? I love these graphics they have mocked up. Yeah.
Just in a white suit or in a black suit. Like this is like Westworld trying to make me think who's a bad guy in this, right?
Yeah. We cut over to him watching it. All we ever see is him watch TV during this issue. So we, the audience, know he's not the villain of this because he's watching a lot of it on TV, but he's just getting drunk. Like he's being dramatic.
I would,
he's watching
the ability. If I could fly, like because he's just like floating in the air with his legs like crossed, right? And if I could just do that and like drink a bottle of wine, I would do that all of the time, man. I would just float above my house and like have a 6-pack of beer while my neighbors are like, "Man, Jeremy's fucking floating again." That dude's life is not going good.
You end up on Best of Next Door immediately for that. Like we'll accept him because he's not homeless, but at the same time, he is flying a lot.
Yes. Lacuna has all of the old, or not all, has a bunch of the X-Statix crew on there, basically to debate whether he's a good guy, which would be Vivisector and Fat, and then to say that he's a bad guy, which is the Anarchist and Dead Girl. Which all seems like a setup. Yeah. Like I feel like all of them, this is just another way to, generate hype.
Publicity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We cut over to Solomon O'Sullivan watching this, having sex with Sharon Ginsburg, with 2 apples on the bedstand. Just
gotta have some apples.
I pay attention when fruit happens in this.
Yeah.
And just like him being like, "Oh, it looks like they're tearing themselves apart," and she's like, "We can help that, but also first we gotta fuck again." And he's like, "I'm not ready for round 2," and she's like, "We're mutants, we can do that." And I'm like, man, I was thinking about like a superpowered refractory period. In terms of a mutant power, because that's one of those biological things that's real, but doesn't it varies from person to person, and not everybody gets it. Like you have to learn about it at a certain age.
Yeah, you can only be Tantric guy if you play bad music like Sting. Like there's a trade-off.
Yeah, you got to sing with an accent you don't have.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to come 6 times in an hour, you have to like learn how to play the mandolin on Saturday Night Live and really bore everybody to tears.
Well, and there's like a period when you're young where you're like, yeah, that's the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm older, I'm just like, man, I want to do other stuff too, though.
Yeah.
Like I'm cool with my refractory period because I also want to watch movies and like, have a nap and make some food and go to the store and take a walk. Got all those things to do as well. I can't just be nutting all day.
But
who has the time?
Who has the time to nut all day, Kurt?
Like, it's great, but it's not the only thing I want to do.
Yes,
a rich and varied life.
Sometimes I want to nut all night.
Yeah. Or sometimes I just want to nut like once or twice a day and that'd be it. It's a good amount of nut.
But hey, we're all in agreement that we want to nut. I think that's the thing that's the thing that's going to bring us all together in this world.
Yeah, at least you and I. Like there are people who do not want to nut. Big respect to our asexual listeners, but also even if you do like to nut, can't be a nonstop nut. That just sounds like the milking machine that doesn't stop until 50 gallons are withdrawn.
Oh my God. Now we're getting into nightmare territory. I'm curious because you've read this, like she's wearing a spiked collar and you can see like handcuffs on the bed. Like does the like quasi BDSM energy from this go anywhere at all? Like, or is this just like, ooh, they're having like kinky sex?
This is kind of like kink shaming her. She kind of loses her mind.
Okay.
A little bit later. Like this is kind of just having her be, showing that all is not right. Because this is kind of, when this came out, it was kind of be, in 2002, it would just be weird just to show like a well-adjusted person being into BDSM.
Gotcha.
It's kind of shorthand for somebody being a freak.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not my opinion, but I think that's what they're doing.
Okay. We go back over to Xavier, who is leading Venus de Milo down this hallway where he has a bunch of prototype suits on that are all extremely hilarious and bad. Like, I feel like
yeah, man,
he makes these suits and then like Jubilee or Kitty Pryde comes along and like makes them cute. Like, right?
They all look like Space Ghost enemies.
Exactly, yeah.
And like people who fight Space Ghosts.
And there's one like Havoc if he was on Doctor Who. Like, right? Like,
yeah. Dr. Hoovik.
Dr. Hoovik. That fanfic definitely exists.
He's checking in with her. This is so good. Where he's like, what'd you see? And she's like, nothing. Yeah, I don't know. It was this nightmare, but I don't remember very much. And he immediately moves on. He's like, in that case, I have something that might cheer you up. And she's pushing back. She's like, I don't need cheering up. If I did, how would seeing these weird costumes do that? And he's like, oh, I'm not referring to these prototypes. These are created for mutants not yet ready for the public eye. But I have one other suit I've been busy with. Your special suit. And he goes into and he's created her like a weird dominatrix nudity suit. And like all of this stuff is so funny. Like, look at his eyes.
Oh, he's so excited.
It's near complete. Like, what do you think? I think it'll work wonderfully. The problem with the sensitivity has been solved. And she's like, I don't know. And like, he's like, you remember we discussed this. We agreed. You're a young woman. It's like, dude.
We agreed in that line in that sentence.
It's so gross.
Oh my God, it's so horrifying, dude. Like, we agreed. You're gonna fuck something.
Yeah,
I don't care what it is.
I don't want it to be me. Don't get me wrong. It just has to be somebody, or I cannot like fucking go into my permanent nut, my 1,000-year picnic that I'm trying to do. And she's like, I'm not even like a person. Like, I'm unstable energy. He's like, no. You're a beautiful, remarkable young woman. And there will be a time when there's some young man, like him just being so insistent that like mutants lose their virginity.
Dude, is so
fucking strange to me.
Dude, it's so weird. Like, how many people has he had this conversation with? Like, the implications of this are just fucking wild.
Tons of them. Like, this is a conversation that he's had with Rogue 1,000 times that we've never seen. And just like him going up to whenever he gets a new mutant, like the last place on the application is like, do you think you'd be able to have sex without help? And if somebody clicks no on that thing, Professor X gets an email alert and then like slides down a fireman's pole down to his little perv suit layer.
Posehn, we got a new one.
Yeah.
Get the sewing machine.
Put down your nerd poker. Let's do it.
Yeah, and she's extremely uncomfortable, which of course makes this whole thing super uncomfortable.
It's pretty nasty. I mean, like, I'm not trying to make light of how grody it is. I just think it's a very funny treatment of Professor X. Yeah. But it is him being a shitball. Like him being real slimy.
It's fucking great, dude. We go back to X-Statix headquarters where Spike is kind of freaking out that the team went on a TV show, and basically like what he says is you're breaking down the entire commercial and military operation that is known as X-Statix. Like what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, hey, it was just a TV show. Like what? This is just this is just publicity. Like any publicity is good publicity. And he's like, actually no, because our share price is down, and we're like our merch sales are down 2%, and like this is important stuff that we're dealing with.
Yeah. And Venus de Milo shows up and agrees with him. Like, yeah, it was really horrible for you to throw your leader under the bus. Like, he would have died for you. You're supposed to be his friend. Fat, like, they all look kind of guilty, but Fat tries to shrug it off and says, like, hey, we'll just do a mission. Like, our ratings have been down before, they'll go back up. And Spike says it's not that easy. You know, we're getting pressure from our shareholders. Like, we can't have a former team member on the loose. X-Statix is not a 9-to-5 job. You don't retire from this. If he doesn't want to be in the team anymore, you have to go kill him. It's like the mob or whatever.
Yeah. And we should note that, like Venus is in this and she's really like taking Guy's side and saying he's going to come back. No, this is just a phase. He's just got to get his head together and all this. And she did not participate in this debate of whether or not he was a good guy or a bad guy at all.
Yeah. And they're all kind of shook by this idea of having to take down their leader. We cut to those two security guards. They're walking through the hall of dorky armors.
Yes.
And one of the guys like, I voted bad guy. How about you? He's like, you actually phoned in vote? And the TV phone votes are the new democracy.
God.
I remember, very time capsule-y.
Because this has got to be around when like American Idol was like really splashing onto the screen, onto the TV. And like, I remember people being like, why don't we just vote like for president this way? And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I can vividly, and I think it would be much like what we have just went through in 2020,
but worse. Mail-in votes, however, are great. As they're walking, they see one of the suits move, and it's the Green Dragon suit.
Yes.
And it attacks them. It fucks them up. We cut over to Professor X and Brian Posehn dissecting this like space tumor thing, and one of the guards is down. They say like, a bunch of the suits were taken. We don't know how many were taken. But definitely the Green Dragon and Ice Clops.
Ice Clops, dude.
Ice Clops. We're making an Ice Clops.
What is
just mashing his X-Men together?
Dude, I mean, can we get Rambit next? You know what I'm saying?
Rambit.
Phoenix Frost. Come on, this is easy. Yeah. This is like we're rolling with this right now, Gary. Come on.
Professor X doesn't sleep. And he's got unlimited Brian Posehn points to cash in. Roll over. He's got Brian Posehn on Cameo on retainer. So he says like somebody had to be sensitive enough to get through our security, and he's like, somebody's sensitive enough. This is a red herring, of course. As we cut over, bad guy has won the poll, and the Green Dragon suit, mixed with some of the other suits, is attacking a motion picture studio.
Yes.
Here, where they're shooting all movies about all things all at the same time.
The background characters here, dude, are so amazing. We've got Hannibal Lecter. We've got what looks like Nick Fury. We've got the guys from Clockwork Orange. We've got
Mary Poppins.
We got an astronaut. We got Indiana Jones. We got like an old, powdered wig dude.
They're just shooting movies.
They're shooting all movies at all times.
We cut over to them afterwards. He bashed into Lacuna and the Stars, where Bob Odenkirk and David Cross are being interviewed here. And the feature is Are Men Aliens, which is a weird thing. Gutted the studio. Like our revenge, Lacuna survived and he addressed the camera. He's like, you wanted me and you got me. I am bad guy. But we cut over to Guy Smith watching this on TV. Like he's not there. He's just taking some time out in his house.
And wondering I wonder, they got what they wanted. Like, what is X-Statix going to do about this? Like, how are they going to do it? How are they going to, deal with this problem? And we go right to them, which is them investigating like the demolished studio with Spike in tow this time. Like Spike is on site with them, which is not the usual thing. But Spike is basically there to say, hey, like this is Guy and we have to go kill them.
Yeah. And Tyke is kind of open to it, not because he doesn't like him, but he's like, yeah, you got to know about this dude, like he's had this suicide wish. He's been trying to get himself killed like this whole time we've known him, and that's true. Like, he has a suicidal character. They get chased off by like the crowd, and find out that bad guy has just gone on a rampage on Rodeo Drive. And Venus is conflicted, but she ultimately teleports them to go take him out.
Oh, like when she says, when Spike's like, he's on Rodeo Drive, Dead Girl's like, he's got expensive taste.
Yeah.
He's just going to do a little stealing, some high class stealing. They get to Rodeo Drive, and sure enough, here is this suited up Spike just laying waste to the road, right? Just like shooting beams of what look like fire and explosives everywhere.
Yeah, not Spike, suited up like bad guy. We'll find out who this is.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just don't want you to get tweeted at. That's my only consuming goal in life. Not to have people bother me.
I got for my birthday, Autumn gave me like a little digital picture frame that you can email pictures to. So I put the email address out on the internet, and Will sent me a everything to Guppy complaints department picture. And it said the name was at Jermagrug parentheses at Cole Ross. I kind of want to print it out and get it framed. Like I kind of like it a whole lot.
It's definitely better than all the pregnant cartoon characters I sent you.
Is that so? You're responsible for the pregnancy stuff?
Yeah.
Because I actually when I had to rearrange my office a little bit, so I actually have the thing up and running right beside me right now. And like right now, there's Patrick Stardust and his baby girl and like supernatural gifts, and then there would just be like, I'm pregnant with 9 babies, and Autumn was like, who the fuck is? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
No, that's me.
This. Okay.
I just thought it would be a funny, like, I just think that, like, my friend Derek, whenever he and I will get online, we'll either play a video game or sometimes we'll just watch some YouTubes. And it never, like, I make the joke over and over, and I'm not saying that this is very funny to anyone else other than me, but I try to have, like, a Google image result for, like, pregnant Marge Simpson or something.
Sure.
And then all the image results whenever I share a screen, so I can just quickly move away from it. And I keep trying to come up with like a pregnant Shrek, other pregnant characters, so we can always look like I'm just browsing
just
the trigger webs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sonic is a real gold mine for that kind of stuff.
Oh, dude, yeah, Impreg Sonic, you can have a lot of crazy.
Dude, that guy has been more impregged than any woman has actually been pregged. Like he's like the world record holder for impregging.
I'm thankful
Sonic.
that it's Supernatural doesn't inspire the amount of fan art that Sonic does, because it inspired way more like impreg fanfic than you would imagine. But like not a lot of it is illustrated, fortunately. So.
That's good. Yeah, it's all written and shot. Like it's all video.
Yeah,
it's all CGI.
That was the ending of season 15. That was the series finale.
That's why it was so controversial. Like one of them got the other one pregnant finally.
Yeah, I know, and people were upset because nobody likes children.
You can't be pregnant. That's a supernatural occurrence.
What?
Credits. Yeah.
Actually, the very last words were Dean just looking at the camera going, "That's supernatural, baby." It's cut to black.
Yeah. Everything you think about us is true. Good night. We do all the stuff that you want.
Yep. We're dating in real life. Our wives are just beards.
Yep. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
You win. So we cut over to the team trying to fight bad guy here.
Yes.
And they're feeling, they say like, Guy, give it up. You can't win. He's like, Guy, I'm not Guy. I'm bad guy. Don't you even watch TV? Like he's denying it, but basically wiping the floor with Vivisector and Fat and the Anarchist.
Well, yeah, because he has Dr. Octopus arms all of a sudden. Like
he's got everything.
He's got like a whole, like he's got spikes like coming out of his body, buzzsaws. Like it's crazy. It's looks like a Devolver Digital video game is what this dude is.
It was making me think that like if Professor X can make these, did you think like Gambit would be more effective if he was wearing one of these and then could also still do Gambit shit?
What about Angel?
Yeah.
Angel was dropping rocks on Magneto for a while. Like, come on.
Well, that's why they had the Havoc one, because like Xavier was trying to spice up Havoc. like Pimp My Havoc.
I guess the difference here is Angel is too shy to go into the fuck suit room, and Gambit is like, I no need the fuck suit room, Sha. I'm good.
Like Professor X is like, I assure you, Gambit, you do. You're a beautiful young man, and someday you'll find a woman.
Gambit does just fine.
Just like Gambit, we all know that you don't do just fine. Close the fucking vent in your room if you're going to do that. We can all hear it. Like, man. But yeah, and Tyke is trying to appeal to him. It's like, I hate all this alpha male crap. Like, we could have been friends and could have been a really good team if you'll just snap out of this and join X-Statix. He reaches to pull off the mask, and bad guy has neck spikes that shoot out and put a hole in his hand.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Spider-Man needs some of these. like
neck spikes? Yeah, because he keeps getting demasked.
Yeah, and like a hand spike. Like, you can heal from that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
He'll
be okay. And they got Venus on the team. Venus heals stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And he's saying, like, Guy, you don't have to do this. And he's like, again, like, you don't watch TV either. It's bad guy. Like, I'm not the same person. He picks up a big piece of rubble. He's going to crush Tyke, and Venus sees it. And Tyke is saying, like, Venus, take him out. And he's saying, what if it's Guy? And that's our cliffhanger, is, her not knowing whether it's really him or not wanting to pull the trigger.
Yeah. And Tyke is like, he doesn't even sound like Guy. And it's like, what if it's the mask? Like, she just doesn't know what to do.
This conversation goes on forever.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
As a guy holds a rock up above your head.
Yeah. It's like point and counterpoint over and over, just so they can have this little scene. Yeah. And that's X-Statix number 6. And we're gonna this arc is not very long. It concludes soon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a Mr. Sensitive arc, really. This is more of a Venus de Milo arc.
Yeah.
And it's mostly about special suits. We're gonna learn more about that later.
I cannot wait to find out more about Professor X's special suits. I'm just so excited about it. Extremely excited.
He actually fixes up mutants. Like, at one point he tells Venus de Milo, when talking about her special suit, Guy's special suit, like, he's playing Crusader Kings and he's setting up a lineage. Like, he's like Professor X and he wants them to have sex, like how Mr. Sinister wants Jean Grey and Scott to have sex.
Man, like an X-Men themed Crusader King scare. I don't know what that game requires in terms of gaming computers, like what kind of dollars I would need to put into a tower to play that, but I would probably play the fuck out of that.
I would do that. I still want my dream game, my X-Men Tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it'd be cool as hell. Yeah. And open world X-Men RPG. That'd be really fun. Man, more X-Men video games.
More X-Men video games. I wonder if because that Avenger games, I think, is kind of flopped pretty much. Like, I wonder what that means for like future like Marvel stuff, like what they're gonna do, because like we just don't get a lot of it. Like,
no.
Besides,
it's weird
or whatever.
Yeah, they don't do a good job with it. Like, now that Avengers game has flopped so hard, like eventually I'm gonna get it for $20.
Yeah.
And just play it as a beat 'em up and be fine. But I am disappointed that everyone, it looked like such trash. It has its defenders. Like, there are people who definitely dig it.
I think I will have a good enough time going through the story of that without engaging in the video game as service bullshit. And then I saw that they added Kate Bishop this week.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I guess they do have plans for like more DLC characters. So I'm kind of like with you, I'm waiting for the PS5 Ultimate All DLC edition to go on super sale and be like, yep, now's the time. I'm going to buy this.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I will play for the story probably.
Video games. We like to buy them cheap.
Even Will liked the story. So Will's famously brutal headline: "The Avengers is a game whose story is so good it's almost worth playing the Avengers."
Wow.
Catty.
Vicious.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. We really appreciate it. If you want to support the show and the network, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv is the place to do it. Your money goes to a wide variety of hosts and shows, and you get a wide variety of benefits for doing so. You can get episodes of this podcast and most other podcasts early. You can get access to the Slack channel. You can get exclusive content. Gary will kiss you, which is not a well-known tier. You gotta find that one. You gotta put in a cheat code for that one, but he will kiss you.
Yeah, it's a specific amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try it out. It's above $5. I will tell you that much.
Yeah, it's above $5. It's a certain combination of numbers. Mm-hmm. It's not 0451. Nope. That's a good guess, but it's not that. And you have to make sure you don't have COVID.
Yeah, you need 2 negative COVID tests for Gary to come kiss you in 2020.
Yeah, you have to quarantine in my garage for a while, and I think a mouse might have died in there.
Okay, so, well, at least
just throwing that out there.
At least there's snacks.
At least you'll have company. Yeah. Yeah, and then right on the lips.
Yeah, we appreciate all.
Love you to bits.
Thank you. We'll be back in a couple of days with more X-Statix. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.